All right, class, welcome. For a long, long time in early Hollywood, the woman on screen, well, she was often just a passenger in her own story, right? The damsel, the mother, the wife. But, as cinema grew up, so did its women. They grabbed the steering wheel, and sometimes they drove right off a cliff. So today, we are going to dissect one of the most compelling figures in all of film, the female antagonist. So, here's our game plan. First, we gotta move past that old damsel in distress idea. Then, we're gonna break down three main blueprints for evil: the schemer or the architect, the power-mad tyrant, and the totally unpredictable psychopath. And finally, we're gonna get to the big question. Why are these characters so fascinating? Why can't we look away? And this right here is the absolute core of it, the shift from passive to active. The classic damsel is someone things happen to, but the female antagonist, oh no, she makes things happen. She's not waiting around for a hero to show up. She's the one setting the trap. She's not just breaking the rules, she's rewriting the entire game with this terrifying, brilliant kind of cruelty. Okay, let's dive into our first category. This is the mastermind, and her most lethal weapon? It's not a knife, it's not a gun, it's her mind. Meet the architect. She's a brilliant strategist, a master puppeteer. She looks at the world and just sees a bunch of levers she can pull. And she knows exactly how society expects women to act. To be charming, graceful, maybe a little vulnerable. And she takes all of that and turns it into a weapon. It's an incredible tool for manipulation and control. And you have to start with the original, right? The blueprint. Phyllis Dietrichson is the quintessential femme fatale. I mean, look at how she pulls it off. She never, ever gets her own hands dirty. Nope. She brilliantly talks this poor insurance agent into murdering her husband for her, all while she's secretly planning to get rid of him the second he's no longer useful. It's just pure, cold-blooded strategy. Flash forward a few decades, and you see that same archetype just perfected in the character of Amy Dunn from Gone Girl. And this quote, it just nails it. Amy isn't just a liar, she's a world-class performer. She literally invents entire personalities, like that famous cool girl persona, to manipulate everybody around her, and that includes us, the audience. I mean, the sheer sophistication of her plan it's just breathtaking. Every single step is meticulously crafted. She frames her own husband for her murder, she controls the entire media narrative from the shadows, and in the end, she traps him. And not in a real jail, but in this perfect psychological prison that she built just for him. It's a terrifying masterpiece. All right, let's shift gears to our next category. With these villains, the evil doesn't come from some personal, deceptive scheme. It comes from abusing legitimate power. This is evil with a badge, a title, a uniform. So, the tyrant. They thrive inside a system. Their cruelty often gets a free pass because it's disguised as procedure or the rules or even some twisted version of care. They don't have to be a genius because their power comes straight from the institution that's backing them up, allowing them to control and dominate. Think about these two. They're iconic. In one corner, you have Nurse Ratched, the big nurse. She's this ice-cold, passive-aggressive force who rules through humiliation and fear, and it all leads to her lobotomizing a patient who dares to stand up to her. And in the other corner, Dolores Umbridge, who hides her bigotry and pure sadism behind this sickeningly sweet all-pink persona. Both of them weaponize authority. They just have terrifyingly different styles. But tyranny doesn't just happen in big institutions. Sometimes the worst of it happens right at home. Margaret White is a religious fanatic who believes she has the authority of God himself to abuse her daughter. She twists faith into a weapon, calling Carrie's own biology a curse of blood and locking her in that horrifying prayer closet. It's a chilling look at how ideology can be used to justify just unimaginable cruelty. And that brings us to our final category. And honestly, this might be the most frightening of all, because it just doesn't make sense. This isn't about some grand plan. It's not about abusing power. This is about cruelty that's personal, it's visceral, and it feels like it comes out of nowhere. What makes the psychopath so terrifying is that you can't reason with them. There's no negotiation. Their actions aren't about getting money or power. They're driven by some deeply disturbed inner world. There's no empathy there, and their violence can be sudden, it can be intimate, and it's often incredibly sadistic. Now, if you've seen the movie Audition, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Asami Yamazaki is the perfect example. She has this quiet, reserved demeanor that's just a mask for a truly vicious killer. The infamous torture scene in that film with the acupuncture needles and the wire saw, it's so graphic that people have literally run out of theaters. She is the embodiment of that visceral, deeply personal horror. And then, there's the woman who turned fandom into a death sentence.
This simple little phrase from Annie Wilkes has to be one of the most chilling lines in movie history. It sounds like adoration, but what it delivers is absolute terror.
And that adoration comes with a horrifying backstory. Before she ever got her hands on the author Paul Sheldon, Annie Wilkes was already a serial killer. The number of her victims? Over 70 people. And that includes infants she murdered when she was working as a head nurse. Her cruelty is so scary because it's just so unpredictable. It's the whiplash. She can go from a sweet, caring fan to a raging monster in a split second. Her obsession is so total that she makes Paul burn his own manuscript, and then of course, she commits that infamous act of hobbling, shattering his ankles with a sledgehammer to make sure he can never, ever leave her. So, okay, we've looked at the architect, the tyrant, and the psychopath. But this leaves us with one last, really important question. Why do these characters stick with us? Why do they haunt us long after the credits have rolled? Well, the answer is that they hold up a mirror. They reflect our deepest fears back at us. The architect, like Amy Dunn, plays on our terror of being completely manipulated by someone we love and trust. The tyrant, like Nurse Ratched, is our anxiety about corrupt, soul-crushing institutions made real. And the psychopath, Annie Wilkes, she's our primal fear of obsession and random, irrational violence. They're not just characters, they are our anxieties, personified. And I think ultimately that's why they endure. They completely shattered this tired old stereotype that women couldn't be truly menacing. They proved that strategy, cruelty, and pure, unadulterated evil aren't just for the male characters. They blew the doors wide open on what a villain could be, proving that in the movies, evil has many, many faces. And that brings us right to our final thought. As our society changes, our fears change too. So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. What are the anxieties of our modern world? Things like digital surveillance, misinformation, social upheaval. What fears are out there right now just waiting to create the next great generation of female antagonists?